You're watching everyone around you lose their minds over a game, and you're just there, not pretending to be above it, not trying to make a statement, just genuinely feeling nothing. And you're starting to wonder if something's wrong with you. Here's what nobody tells you. The Super Bowl isn't really about football. It's a loyalty test disguised as entertainment. When someone asks if you're watching, they're not asking about your TV plans. They're asking if you belong to the same emotional world they do. And when you say you're not interested, you can feel the shift in the room. Suddenly you're the odd one out. The thing is, caring about sports isn't hardwired into being human. Your brain doesn't arrive preloaded with team allegiances. What happens when people get obsessed with the Super Bowl is actually a psychological cocktail. There's tribal identity, the illusion of personal connection to players you'll never meet, and this phenomenon where your brain genuinely rewards you with dopamine when your team wins, even though you did absolutely nothing except sit on a couch in the right geographic location. For people who don't feel that pull, watching everyone else experience it is like observing a mass hallucination. You can see it happening. You understand the mechanics, but you can't force yourself to feel it. And that disconnect creates this quiet loneliness that's hard to explain. Some people's nervous systems crave high-intensity, emotionally charged situations. Others find that same intensity genuinely exhausting. Neither way is broken. They're just different operating systems. When your brain prefers lower stimulation, a 3-hour game with constant momentum swings and collective screaming doesn't feel exciting. It feels like sensory overload with no off switch. You're not missing out. You're just wired differently. Think about what you're actually being asked to do. Invest 3 hours of emotional energy into something you have zero control over. Scream at a screen. Wear lucky socks. Pretend your feelings can influence physics. Some people love that. The emotional journey is the entire point. But if you prefer to spend energy on things where your effort creates actual outcomes, the whole setup feels fundamentally hollow. You're not cold. You just have a different relationship with where you direct your emotional resources. And modern life is already exhausting. Notifications, work stress, political chaos, money anxiety, endless social media loops. For a lot of people, the Super Bowl is just another thing demanding attention. It's not a break from the noise. It's more noise pretending to be a break. Sports are built on unpredictability. That's supposed to be the thrill. But if you have a lower tolerance for uncertainty, that unpredictability doesn't feel thrilling. It feels like low-grade stress for 3 hours. You're not enjoying the suspense. You're just uncomfortable, waiting for it to end. And when the outcome has zero impact on your actual life, sitting through manufactured tension starts feeling less like fun and more like voluntary anxiety. Then there's the cultural weight of it all. The Super Bowl stopped being just a game decades ago. Now it's this massive production. Commercials everyone analyzes, halftime shows, themed snacks, office pools. If the game itself doesn't interest you, all that extra spectacle makes it worse. You're surrounded by people performing enthusiasm, and you're supposed to join in. When you can't fake it convincingly, you feel the judgment. Not always spoken, but it's there. The confusion. The jokes that aren't quite jokes. You end up watching everyone else bond over something that feels completely arbitrary, and that creates a specific kind of isolation. Sometimes the simplest explanation is true. You just don't like football. The same way some people don't like cilantro or jazz or horror movies. We become so obsessed with finding psychological reasons for every preference that we forget humans just have different tastes. You might care deeply about something else, Formula One, documentaries, books, hiking, and that doesn't need a justification. What's actually strange is the expectation that everyone should care. That one sport, one game, one Sunday should matter to every single person. When you step back, that's the weird part, not your indifference. The discomfort people show when you say you don't care tells you everything. There's immediate defensiveness, like you've insulted something sacred. Because for a lot of people, sports aren't just entertainment. They're identity, shared culture, proof of belonging. When you reject the Super Bowl, some people hear it as rejecting them, their values, their world. If you don't care about the Super Bowl, you're probably navigating a mix of things. Maybe you're wired for lower intensity. Maybe you prefer investing energy where you have direct influence. Maybe uncertainty feels more like stress than excitement. Maybe the spectacle exhausts you. Maybe you just find it boring. All of those are completely valid. You're not missing something fundamental about being human. You're just honest about what actually moves you. And in a culture that pressures everyone to perform the same enthusiasm, that honesty can feel isolating. But it's also the only way to live in alignment with who you actually are. You don't owe anyone fake excitement. You don't have to justify your indifference. And you're not broken for feeling nothing when everyone around you is losing their minds. You're just different. And different is only uncomfortable when we pretend it shouldn't exist. If this resonated, I'd love to have you here. This channel breaks down human behavior in simple, honest ways. No judgment, just clarity.